Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked out at the mining operation. The asteroid belt stretched endlessly in all directions, filled with rocks that held precious metals. For 3 years, he had led the team of 200 humans on New Eden Colony. They worked hard every day, pulling rare minerals from the floating rocks in space. The work was dangerous, but rewarding. Jake watched his people operate the huge mining machines that cut through solid rock like butter. Sparks flew as the drills bit into asteroid surfaces, searching for the valuable metals that Earth needed so badly. The colony had become like a small city floating in space, with living quarters, workshops, and storage areas, all connected by metal walkways. Lisa Carter, the colony's best engineer, walked up to Jake with a tablet in her hands. She was young but smart, always finding ways to make their machines work better. "Commander Morrison, the Eastern drill site is producing double what we expected," she said with a smile. "A new extraction method is working perfectly." Jake nodded. With approval. Lisa had figured out how to get more metal from each asteroid using less energy. This meant they could send more resources back to Earth and earn better pay for everyone in the colony. "Great work, Lisa. How are the other sites doing?" "All running smoothly, sir. Danny Rodriguez says the medical bay is quiet today, which means the safety improvements are working." Lisa pointed toward the medical center, where their doctor took care of injured workers. Danny was a skilled medic who had saved many lives during their time in space. Amy, Blake's voice crackled over the communication system. "Commander Morrison, please report to the comm center. We're getting some strange readings on the long range sensors." Amy handled all communications with Earth and monitored space around their colony for any problems. Jake made his way through the metal corridors to the communication center. The walls hummed with the sound of air recycling systems that kept them all breathing. He found Amy staring at multiple screens, showing different views of space around them. "What do you see, Amy?" Jake asked, looking at the displays that showed mostly empty space and distant stars. Amy pointed to one screen that showed several small dots moving toward them. "These objects appeared about an hour ago. They're not asteroids or space debris. They're moving in formation, like ships." Jake felt his stomach tighten. In 3 years, they had never seen another living being in this part of space. Earth had told them they were alone out here, which was why they chose this location for mining. How far away are they? Still several hours out, but they're definitely heading straight for us. The computer can't identify what they are. Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls, trying to get more information about the approaching objects. Far above them, hidden in the darkness of space, Admiral Crix studied the human colony through his ship's sensors. The Zeltharian commander was tall and thin, with skin that looked like gray crystal. His people had conquered dozens of worlds, always finding the other species weak and easy to defeat. "Science Officer Vex, what can you tell me about these creatures?" Crix asked in a voice that sounded like grinding stone. Vex, whose crystalline body sparkled under the ship's blue lights, examined the data on his screen. "They are carbon-based life forms, Admiral. Very primitive compared to our silicon-based perfection. But there is something strange about them." "Strange how?" Crix moved closer to look at the readings himself. "They breathe oxygen, Admiral. Pure oxygen. Our scientists have always known that oxygen is highly toxic to most life forms. It should poison them, but somehow they need it to survive." Vex's voice carried confusion and disgust. Crix laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "So these weak creatures actually need poison to live? This will be easier than I thought. Cancel the invasion plans. We will test them first." "Test them, sir?" "Yes. We will use oxygen bombs on their colony. If they are so dependent on this toxic gas, we will give them too much of it. They will die quickly, and we can study their technology without fighting. Crix turned to his weapons officer. Prepare the atmospheric bombs. Fill them with concentrated oxygen. Back on New Eden, Jake gathered his senior staff in the main conference room. Lisa sat next to Danny Rodriguez, who had just finished treating a worker with a minor burn. Amy joined them with her latest sensor readings. The unknown ships are now 3 hours away, Amy reported. I've tried sending standard greeting messages, but they're not responding. Danny, a calm man who rarely showed worry, looked concerned. Commander, should we prepare for evacuation? If these are hostile aliens, we might not be able to defend ourselves. Jake thought about their situation. They had mining equipment and some basic weapons, but nothing designed for fighting in space. Battle. We'll prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Lisa, can you modify any of our equipment for defense? Lisa nodded. The mining lasers could be used as weapons if needed. They're powerful enough to cut through asteroid rock, so they might damage enemy ships. I'll also check our barriers and shields. Good. Danny, make sure the medical bay is ready for casualties. Amy, keep monitoring those ships and try to record everything they do. We need to send information back to Earth if something happens to us. As his team left to prepare, Jake stared out the window at the stars. For 3 years, they had lived peacefully in space, working hard and building a good life. Now, unknown. Aliens were approaching, and he had no idea what they wanted. He thought about the families back on Earth who depended on the metals they mined. He thought about his own people, 200 humans who trusted him to keep them safe. Whatever these aliens planned, Jake would do everything possible to protect his colony. The next few hours would change everything, though Jake had no way of. Knowing that the aliens' biggest weapon would become humanity's greatest gift. The alien ships arrived at dawn, their crystalline hulls reflecting the distant starlight like broken mirrors. Jake Morrison stood in the command center, watching the strange vessels take positions around New Eden Colony. The ships were beautiful, in a cold, threatening way, but Jake felt only fear as he counted 12 of them. Commander, they're launching something, Amy Blake called out from her station. Her voice was tight with worry as she watched her screens. Multiple objects coming from each ship. They looked like missiles or bombs. Jake grabbed the colony-wide communication system. All personnel, this is Commander Morrison. We are under attack. Move to emergency stations immediately. This is not a drill. Throughout the colony, people dropped their work and ran toward the safety bunkers. Miners left their drilling sites, engineers abandoned their workshops, and families rushed to protected areas. Everyone had trained for this moment, but nobody had expected it to actually happen. Lisa Carter was in the main engineering bay when the first bombs hit. She felt the whole colony shake as bright flashes appeared outside the windows. That's not explosive damage, she said to herself, checking her instruments. The structures are fine, but the atmosphere readings are going crazy. The oxygen bombs had been designed by the Zeltharians to flood the colony with pure oxygen at 3 times. Normal levels. Admiral Crix watched from his command ship, expecting to see humans collapse and die within minutes. His science officer, Vex, stood beside him, recording everything for their reports. The oxygen concentration is now at 60% and rising. Vex reported. At this level, the carbon-based creatures should be experiencing severe toxicity. Death should occur within 5 minutes. But instead of death, something amazing began to happen. Danny Rodriguez was treating a patient in the medical bay when he noticed the change first. The man's cut was healing faster than normal, and his breathing was deeper and stronger. I feel incredible, the patient said, sitting up on the medical bed. Like I could run a marathon. What's happening to me? Danny checked his own pulse and breathing. His heart was beating strong and steady, and his mind felt sharper than ever before. "The air," he whispered. "Something's different about the air." Throughout the colony, similar changes were occurring. Jake Morrison found himself thinking faster and moving with amazing speed. When he ran to check on different sections of the colony, he covered ground in half the usual time without getting tired. Lisa. Carter's mind was working like a supercomputer. Problems that usually took her hours to solve were becoming clear in minutes. She looked at the atmospheric readings and understood immediately what was happening. "The aliens are pumping pure oxygen into our air supply," she announced over the communication system. "But instead of hurting us, it's making us stronger. Our bodies are using the extra oxygen to work better than ever before." Amy Blake was experiencing the same effects. Her fingers flew over the keyboard as she intercepted alien communications. Her enhanced mind processed the strange language patterns faster than she thought possible. "Commander Morrison, I'm picking up alien transmissions," she reported. "They sound confused and frightened. I think their attack isn't working the way they planned." On the Zelfarian command ship, Admiral Crix stared at his screens in disbelief. The humans were not only surviving, but moving around their colony with increased energy. Some were actually running and working harder than before the oxygen bombs had been deployed. "This is impossible," Crix said, his crystal skin changing color with stress. "The oxygen should be killing them. Why are they becoming more active?" Science Officer Vex checked his instruments 3 times before answering. "Admiral, the readings are correct. The oxygen concentration is now at 70%, which should be lethal to any carbon-based life form. But the humans appear to be thriving? Crix's voice rose to a dangerous level. "You're telling me that our most powerful atmospheric weapon is making them stronger?" "That appears to be the case, sir. Their movement patterns show increased speed and coordination. Their vital signs are stronger than before the attack." Jake Morrison gathered his senior staff in the command center. All 4 of them were experiencing the oxygen enhancement, and their meeting was the most productive they had ever had. Ideas flowed freely, and solutions to problems came quickly. "We need to understand what's happening and use it to our advantage," Jake said, his enhanced mind processing multiple strategies at once. "Lisa, can you figure out exactly what the aliens did to our atmosphere?" Lisa was already working on 3 different computer terminals simultaneously. "They flooded our air with pure oxygen, Commander. Normal air is only 21% oxygen. We're now breathing air that's 70% oxygen. For most life forms, this would be toxic, but human bodies can actually use this much oxygen. If we're careful, how long will the effects last?" Danny asked, monitoring his own enhanced vital signs. "Based on the colony's air recycling systems, we should have these enhanced abilities for at least several hours, maybe longer if the aliens keep pumping oxygen into our atmosphere." Amy looked up from her communication station with excitement. "Commander, I've been listening to their transmissions. They're calling this a failed test. They were trying to poison us as a preliminary attack before sending in ground troops." Jake felt a cold anger building inside him. These aliens had tried to murder everyone in the colony, including families and children. They had thought humans were weak and easy to kill. Now they were about to learn how wrong they were. "They wanted to test our strength," Jake said, his voice hard with determination. "Let's show them what humans can really do. Lisa, I need you to start working on defenses. Use our enhanced abilities to modify our equipment into weapons." "Already on it, Commander. With my mind working this fast, I can redesign our mining lasers into combat weapons in under an hour." Danny nodded with understanding. "I'll prepare the medical bay for combat casualties, but with these enhanced healing rates, our people should recover from injuries much faster than normal." Amy was already back at her station, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to monitor multiple alien communication channels at once. I'll keep tracking their movements and try to predict their next attack. As the 4 humans worked with superhuman efficiency, Admiral Crix made a decision that would doom his mission. Since the oxygen bombs had failed, he would send in ground troops to destroy the colony through direct combat. "Prepare the assault teams," he ordered. "We will crush these strange creatures with overwhelming force." What Admiral Crix didn't know was that his oxygen bombs had just created the most dangerous opponents the Zeltharian Empire had ever faced. The humans of New Eden Colony were no longer just miners and engineers. They had become something new, something enhanced, something that would fight back with abilities no alien had ever seen before. Jake Morrison looked out at the alien ships and smiled grimly. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had tried to poison humanity with the very air they breathed. Instead, they had given humans the tools they needed to fight back and win. Admiral Crix was not a patient being. The failure of the oxygen bombs had made him angry, and angry Zeltharians made deadly mistakes. He stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching thousands of his ground troops prepare for battle. "Launch all assault pods," he commanded. "I want every human in that colony dead within 1 hour." The Zeltharian soldiers were fearsome fighters, each one standing 7 feet tall with crystal-hard skin that could stop most weapons. They wore special suits that let them breathe methane while fighting in other atmospheres. Their weapons could cut through steel like paper. Jake Morrison watched the enemy pods falling toward New Eden like deadly rain. Each pod held 20 alien soldiers, and he counted over 100 pods heading for the colony. 2,000 enemies against his 200 people, but Jake was not afraid. "All defenders to combat positions," he announced over the colony communication system. "Remember, we're faster and stronger than normal. Use that advantage." Lisa Carter had been working non-stop since the oxygen bombs hit. Her enhanced mind had redesigned half the colony's equipment in just 2 hours. The mining lasers were now powerful weapons that could cut through alien armor. The construction robots had been turned into fighting machines. "Commander, the modified defenses are ready," Lisa reported. "I've also figured out how to make portable oxygen generators. If we can keep breathing this enhanced air, we can maintain our advantages during the fight." Danny Rodriguez had set up medical stations throughout the colony, but he was amazed by what he was seeing. The enhanced oxygen was making human bodies heal incredibly fast. A cut that should take weeks to heal was closing in hours. "Jake, I need to tell you something important," Danny said over the communication system. "The oxygen enhancement isn't just making us stronger and faster. It's making us heal much quicker, too. Our people can keep fighting even after getting hurt." Amy Blake was monitoring enemy communications when she discovered something crucial. "Commander, I'm hearing panic in their transmissions. They're afraid of our oxygen-rich atmosphere. It seems like oxygen is toxic to them, just like they thought it was toxic to us." Jake's enhanced mind immediately saw the opportunity. "Lisa, can you weaponize our oxygen supply? Turn it into something we can use against them?" Lisa's eyes lit up with understanding. "Already working on it, Commander. I can modify our atmospheric systems to create oxygen grenades and oxygen fields. If oxygen hurts them, we can use it as a weapon." The first alien pods crashed into the colony's outer sections. The Zeltharian soldiers broke out of their pods with weapons ready, expecting to find dead or dying humans. Instead, they found humans moving with superhuman speed and coordination. The first group of aliens encountered a mining crew that had been working in the outer asteroid fields. The miners, enhanced by the oxygen-rich air, fought back with tools that Lisa had modified into weapons. The alien's crystal skin was tough, But the humans were faster, and smarter. Jake led a team of 20 defenders toward the main landing site. They moved through the colony corridors like a well-trained military unit, even though most of them were just miners and engineers. The enhanced oxygen was making them think and react like professional soldiers. "Contact ahead," Amy's voice crackled. Over their communication devices. 50 aliens moving toward the power station. "They're trying to shut down our life support." Jake's team reached the power station just as the aliens were setting up their weapons. The Zeltharians were skilled fighters, but they had never faced opponents like these enhanced humans. Jake moved with impossible speed, dodging energy blasts that should have been too fast to avoid. Lisa's modified mining laser cut through 3 alien soldiers in seconds. The weapon was so powerful that it could slice through their crystal armor, like it was made of glass. The aliens fell back in confusion, not understanding how these weak humans had become so dangerous. Danny Rodriguez was treating wounded defenders when he noticed something strange. The aliens were moving slower near the medical station, which had the highest oxygen concentration in the colony. "Amy, tell everyone that the aliens get weaker when there's more oxygen in the air," he reported. Amy immediately shared this information with all the defenders. The humans began using Lisa's portable oxygen generators as weapons, creating high oxygen zones that made the aliens sick and slow. The battle was turning into a disaster for the Zeltharians. Their soldiers were trained to fight weak opponents, not enhanced humans who could think faster and move quicker than anyone they had ever faced. The aliens' rigid battle formations crumbled against human creativity and adaptability. Jake found himself fighting like a hero from an action movie. His enhanced reflexes let him dodge weapons fire while shooting back with perfect accuracy. He could see the fear in the aliens' eyes as they realized their invasion was failing. "Commander, more pods are landing in the residential section," Amy reported. "They're targeting the civilian areas." Jake's enhanced mind immediately calculated the best response. "Lisa, take Team Alpha and defend the families. Danny, set up oxygen barriers around the residential areas. Amy, jam their communications so they can't coordinate their attacks." The 3 teams moved with perfect coordination, their enhanced abilities letting them work together better than they ever had before. Lisa's team reached the residential area just as the aliens were breaking into the family quarters. The sight of aliens threatening children and families filled Lisa with a cold rage. Her enhanced mind designed new weapons on the spot, turning household items into deadly tools. The oxygen generators she had built created protective fields that made the aliens weak and confused. Danny's medical team had become a combat unit, using their knowledge of biology to target weak points in alien armor. The enhanced oxygen let them work for hours without getting tired, treating the wounded and fighting enemies at the same time. Amy had broken into the alien communication network completely. Her enhanced mind processed their language patterns and began sending false information to their troops. She made alien units think they were being attacked by huge human armies when there were only small groups of defenders. Admiral Crix watched the battle from his command ship in growing horror. His invasion force was being destroyed by a small group of humans who should have been easy to defeat. The oxygen that was supposed to kill them had made them into something beyond his understanding. "Sir, our ground forces are requesting immediate evacuation," Science Officer Vex reported. "They're saying the humans have become impossible to fight." Crix could not believe what he was hearing. Impossible. They're just primitive carbon-based life forms. How can they defeat our elite soldiers? The oxygen enhancement has made them faster, stronger, and smarter than our intelligence predicted. They're also using oxygen as a weapon against our troops. Jake Morrison stood in the colony command center, coordinating the defense with superhuman efficiency. His enhanced mind was processing information from dozens of sources at once, making tactical decisions that were destroying the alien invasion. "All teams, the enemy is retreating to their landing zones," Jake announced. "Don't let them escape. We're going to capture their equipment and find out who they are and where they came from." The enhanced humans pursued the fleeing aliens with relentless determination. What had started as a desperate defense was becoming a complete victory. The aliens' oxygen bombs had not only failed to kill the humans, but had given them the tools they needed to win an impossible battle. As the last alien soldiers fled back to their ships, Jake realized that this was just the beginning. The aliens had come to test human strength, and they had learned that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Jake Morrison stood among the wreckage of alien equipment scattered across the colony landing platform. His enhanced mind was already planning the next phase of the battle. The aliens had retreated, but Amy Blake's intercepted communications made it clear that reinforcements were coming. "Commander, I'm reading massive energy signatures approaching from deep space," Amy reported from her station. "Whatever's coming is much bigger than what we just fought." Jake gathered his senior staff in the command center. All around them, the colony showed signs of the recent battle, but also signs of something new. The humans were not just surviving, but thriving in ways that amazed even themselves. "They're bringing a full fleet," Jake said, his oxygen enhanced. Mind already forming a bold plan. "We can't just defend anymore. We need to attack." Lisa Carter looked up from the alien weapons she had been studying. "Commander, I figured out how their technology works. With our enhanced abilities, I can reverse engineer their systems in hours instead of months." Danny Rodriguez was monitoring the health of everyone in the colony. "Jake, the oxygen enhancement is holding steady. People are healing from battle wounds faster than I've ever seen. We're not just stronger, we're becoming something new." Amy Blake had been working on the captured alien communication equipment. "I've broken into their entire network. I know where their main fleet is positioned, and I'm learning their language patterns. We can use this to confuse them." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "We're not going to wait for them to attack us again. We're going to take the fight to them. Lisa, can you modify our mining ships for combat?" Lisa's eyes lit up with possibility. "With these enhanced abilities, I can turn our mining fleet into a space navy. The same ships that cut through asteroids can cut through alien hulls." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity as the enhanced humans worked with impossible speed and efficiency. Lisa redesigned the mining ships, adding weapons and shields made from captured alien technology. Her oxygen-enhanced mind solved engineering problems that would normally take teams of scientists weeks to figure out. Danny Rodriguez developed new medical systems that could keep humans alive and fighting in the vacuum of space. The enhanced oxygen had taught him things about human biology that no doctor had ever known before. Amy Blake created a communication warfare system that could jam alien networks while coordinating human attacks. Her enhanced mind could process multiple conversations in the alien language simultaneously. Jake trained the colonists in space combat using their enhanced abilities. Miners became pilots, engineers became gunners, and medical staff became tactical coordinators. The oxygen enhancement had made them all capable of things they never imagined possible. Admiral Crix arrived with a fleet of 50 ships, expecting to find a destroyed colony and dead humans. Instead, his sensors detected something that made his crystal skin change color with shock. "Science Officer Vex, are you seeing this?" Crix demanded. Vex stared at his instruments in disbelief. "Admiral, the humans are launching ships. They appear to have modified their mining vessels into combat craft. Impossible. They're primitive beings. They couldn't have learned our technology so quickly." But the humans had done exactly that. Jake Morrison led a fleet of 20 modified mining ships out of the asteroid belt, heading straight for the Zaltharian fleet. The mining ships looked crude compared to the elegant alien vessels, but they were armed with hybrid human-alien technology that no one had ever seen before. All ships remember what we learned in the colony, Jake broadcast to his fleet. We're faster, smarter, and more adaptable than they are. Use that advantage. The space battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. The Zaltharian ships were more advanced, but the humans flying against them were enhanced beyond normal capabilities. Human pilots made impossible maneuvers. Human gunners hit targets they shouldn't have been able to see, and human engineers kept damaged ships fighting when they should have been destroyed. Lisa Carter was commanding the engineering ship that had been converted into a mobile repair facility. Her enhanced mind coordinated repairs across the entire human fleet while simultaneously designing new weapons in real time. Danny Rodriguez had created a mobile medical bay that could treat wounded pilots during combat. The enhanced oxygen systems he had developed were keeping human crews fighting at peak efficiency even after taking damage. Amy Blake was running communication warfare from the command ship, sending false information to alien ships while coordinating perfect attacks by human vessels. Her enhanced mind was processing battle information faster than any computer. The Zaltharian fleet found itself being systematically destroyed by an enemy they couldn't understand. Their ships were more powerful, but the humans were using tactics and strategies that made no sense according to alien military doctrine. Admiral, we're losing ships faster than we can count, Science Officer Vex reported. The humans are fighting like they can predict our moves before we make them. Admiral Crix watched his fleet being torn apart by mining ships that should have been helpless against his warships. How is this possible? They're using our own technology against us. More than that, sir. They're improving it. Their weapons are more effective than ours, and their ships are performing maneuvers that our vessels can't match. Jake Morrison's command ship closed in on the Zaltharian flagship. The mining ship's modified weapons cut through the alien vessel's shields like they were made of paper. Jake's enhanced reflexes let him pilot the ship through enemy fire that should have destroyed him. Admiral Crix, this is Commander Morrison of the human colony New Eden. Jake broadcast on the alien communication frequency. You came here to test our strength. You used what you thought was poison to try to kill us. Instead, you gave us the tools we needed to defeat you. Admiral Crix heard the human's voice with growing terror. You're just carbon-based primitives. You shouldn't be able to do this. You're right, we shouldn't, Jake replied. But you made us better than we were. Your oxygen bombs didn't destroy us. They made us stronger, faster, and smarter. They turned us into something we never knew we could be. The battle was over in less than 3 hours. The Zaltharian fleet was destroyed or captured, and the surviving aliens were prisoners of the humans they had tried to exterminate. The mining ships that had once pulled metals from asteroids were now the victors in a space battle against a Galactic Empire. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the captured alien flagship, surrounded by technology that his enhanced mind could now understand and improve. The colony that had been a simple mining operation was now the home of a new kind of human. Amy, send a message to Earth Command, Jake ordered. Tell them that the Zaltharians attacked us with biological weapons, but we survived and won. Tell them that humanity is stronger than anyone ever imagined. Amy Blake smiled as she composed the message. What should I say about the oxygen enhancement, Commander? Jake looked out at the stars where human ships now patrolled space that had once belonged to alien conquerors. Tell them that sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected sources. The aliens tried to poison us with the air we breathe, but instead they showed us what humans can really do when we're pushed to our limits. The oxygen bombs that were meant to prove human weakness had instead revealed human potential. The colony of New Eden had become something new, something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the captured Zelfarian flagship, studying the star charts that showed the alien empire's territory. The enhanced oxygen still flowed through the ship's atmosphere, keeping his mind sharp and his reflexes fast. What he saw on those charts made his blood run cold. "Amy, come look at this," Jake called to his communication officer. The Zelfarians weren't just attacking us. They were planning something much bigger. Amy Blake smiled as she composed the message to Earth. "What should I tell them about the oxygen enhancement, Commander?" Jake looked out at the stars, where human ships now protected worlds that had once lived in fear. "Tell them that the Zelfarians taught us something important. They showed us that human weakness can become human strength when we're pushed to our limits." 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood in the same command center where the crisis had begun, but everything had changed. New Eden Colony was now the headquarters of the Human Defense Alliance, a growing organization that protected dozens of worlds from aggressive species. Carter had established the most advanced research facility in the galaxy, human engineers. Working with controlled oxygen enhancement, were developing technology that surpassed anything other species had created. The mining equipment that had once pulled metals from asteroids was now the blueprint for ships that explored distant galaxies. Danny Rodriguez ran a medical program that was teaching other species about human biology and resilience. His research on oxygen enhancement had led to treatments that helped humans survive in the most hostile environments imaginable. Amy Blake coordinated communication between hundreds of worlds that had joined the Human Defense Alliance. Her experience with alien languages during the oxygen enhancement had made her the galaxy's most skilled translator and diplomat. The Zelfarian Empire still existed, but as a member of the Alliance rather than its enemy. The aliens who had once conquered worlds now worked with humans to explore space and protect weaker species. They had learned that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. "Commander Morrison, we're receiving a message from Earth," Amy reported. "The President wants to know if you're ready to come home." Jake looked around at the command center that had become his second home. The colony that had started as a simple mining operation was now the heart of galactic civilization. The people who had once feared alien attack were now the protectors of dozens of worlds. "Tell the President that New Eden is my home now," Jake replied. "This is where humans learned what we're really capable of. This is where we discovered that our greatest strength comes from adapting to whatever challenges we face." Lisa joined him at the viewing port that looked out over the colony. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if the Zelfarians had used different weapons?" Jake smiled. They could have used any weapon they wanted. The result would have been the same. Humans don't give up when we're attacked. We find a way to turn our enemies' weapons into our advantages. Danny walked over from his medical station. "The enhanced oxygen taught us something important about human potential. We're capable of much more than we ever imagined." Amy looked up from her communication station. "Commander, I'm getting reports from the outer colonies. 3 more species want to join the Alliance. Word is spreading that humans are the galaxy's best allies and worst enemies." Jake Morrison thought about the morning when alien ships had first appeared in their sky. The Zelfarians had come to test human strength with what they thought was poison. Instead, they had given humanity the greatest gift possible, the knowledge that humans could overcome anything. "The aliens were right about one thing," Jake said to his team. "We are carbon-based life forms who need oxygen to survive." But they were wrong about what that means. They thought it made us weak. Instead, it makes us adaptable. The colony of New Eden had become a symbol throughout the galaxy. Other species told stories about the humans who had turned their enemies' poison into their greatest strength. Children on distant worlds learned about the miners who had become the greatest warriors in galactic history. Jake Morrison's final report to Earth Command became legendary throughout human space. The Zeltharians used oxygen bombs on humans and watched them thrive. They learned that humanity's greatest weakness is also our greatest strength. We need oxygen to live, but when you give us more oxygen, we become something beyond what anyone imagined possible. They came to our colony expecting to find weak creatures they could easily destroy. Instead, they found humans. They discovered that when you attack humanity, you don't just face the people you're fighting. You face a species that will adapt, overcome, and grow stronger from every challenge. The oxygen bombs were meant to prove that humans were weak. Instead, they proved that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy when we're threatened. The Zeltharians wanted to test our strength. They found out that human strength has no limits when we're protecting the people we love. The message ended with words that became the motto of the Human Defense Alliance. They used oxygen bombs on humans and watched them thrive. Let that be a lesson to anyone who thinks humanity can be easily defeated. We breathe the air that others call poison, and we turn it into the strength that protects the galaxy. New Eden Colony continued to grow, but it remained a mining operation at heart. The difference was that now humans mined not just asteroids, but knowledge from across the galaxy. They had learned that their greatest resource was not metal or oxygen, but the human spirit that could turn any challenge into an opportunity. The Zeltharians had given humanity an unexpected gift. They had shown humans what they were truly capable of when pushed to their limits. The oxygen bombs that were meant to destroy had instead created something new, a humanity that knew its own strength and was ready to share that strength with the galaxy. Approached the display, her oxygen-enhanced mind quickly processing the alien symbols and navigation data. Commander, these charts show Earth's location. They were planning to attack our home world. Lisa Carter joined them, having spent the last few hours reverse engineering the alien ship's computer systems. It's worse than that, Jake. According to their files, they've been watching Earth for months. They thought humans were the weakest species they'd ever encountered. Danny Rodriguez looked up from his medical station, where he was studying alien biology. They picked our mining colony as a test target. If they could easily destroy us, they were going to launch a full invasion of Earth. Jake felt a surge of anger mixed with determination. The aliens had not just attacked New Eden. They had threatened all of humanity. But they had also made a fatal mistake that would cost them everything. How? Long before Earth expects our next supply shipment? Jake asked. Amy checked her communication logs. 6 weeks, Commander. But I can send a message now using the alien communication network. It's much faster than our normal systems. Do it. Tell Earth Command exactly what happened here. Tell them the Zeltharians underestimated humanity so badly that they gave us the tools to defeat them. Lisa was already working on the alien ship's navigation systems. Jake, I figured out how to track their entire fleet. The oxygen enhancement is letting me understand their technology better than they do. I can find every Zeltharian ship in this sector. All of them? Every single one? They're not expecting an attack from humans they thought were dead. We can hit them before they know what's happening. Jake made a decision that would echo throughout the galaxy. We're not just going to defend Earth. We're going to make sure the Zeltharians never threaten another world again. The next phase of the battle took place across 12 star systems. The humans, still enhanced by the oxygen-rich atmosphere they had learned to maintain in their ships, struck at Zeltharian bases with devastating efficiency. Danny Rodriguez had developed portable oxygen systems that kept human crews fighting at peak ability during long space battles. His medical knowledge, enhanced by the oxygen boost, had taught him how to keep humans healthy and strong in conditions that should have been impossible. Amy Blake coordinated attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Her oxygen-enhanced mind processed communication from dozens of human ships, while jamming alien networks and spreading confusion among enemy fleets. Lisa Carter had become the most brilliant engineer in human history. Her oxygen-enhanced creativity had produced weapons and ships that surpassed anything the Zeltharians had ever built. She was redesigning human technology faster than alien scientists could understand it. The Zeltharian Empire, which had conquered dozens of worlds, found itself being systematically destroyed by a species they had considered primitive. Their military leaders couldn't understand how humans had become so dangerous so quickly. Admiral Crix was right about one thing. Science Officer Vex reported to the Zeltharian High Command. The humans are carbon-based life forms, but they're not weak. They're the most adaptable species we've ever encountered. How can primitives defeat our empire? Demanded Supreme Commander Vex, leader of all Zeltharian forces. They turned our own weapons against us. The oxygen we used to try to kill them made them stronger. They're not just surviving, they're evolving. Jake Morrison's fleet appeared at the edge of the Zeltharian home system like avenging angels. The mining ships that had Ankh